Hey, what's up you guys, it's Connor, and today I'm going to be doing a book review for Passage to Avalon by Mike Thayer. This is the first book in the epic adventures of the Techno Wizard. This is a middle grade novel that follows a 13-year-old boy named Sam. He's just a regular boy living in the United States, and then one day there's this huge earthquake and he wakes up in a new world called Avalon. He finds out that this world is filled with magic, which is called ether. He cannot access this magic, so everyone in Avalon can access magic, but he cannot because he's not truly from Avalon. The book follows him as he's trying to figure out how to get from Avalon back to Earth and also help Avalon in the process because there are some corrupt dictatorship situations going on. What's actually pretty cool about this novel is that he still has some connection to Earth. His super advanced cell phone still has service every once in a while, so he can still contact his family back on Earth, which is different than a lot of other Portal fantasies that you'll pick up. And so there's a lot of social media stuff happening behind the scenes while he's going on this epic adventure. The main character that we follow is Sam, who is this guy. He is the Techno Wizard, and he has all of this technology that Avalon has never seen before. So the characters besides the main character, Sam, are all shocked by things like flashlights and cell phones and any type of gadget like a drone is right there on the cover. Some of the other main characters that you follow are Mila, this gorilla, Willow, who is this tree being. Her race kind of reminds me of Ents from Lord of the Rings because they're basically walking trees and stuff like that, and they go through things very slowly. You also follow this cowboy looking character named Cornelius and this girl named Roanna, who is like a magic prodigy. As usual with my book reviews, I'm gonna go through my pros, go through my cons, give you my rating, and be done. My first pro for this book is that it just warmed my nerdy heart. It has a ton of geeky references to other fantasy novels and science fiction stories. For instance, it talks about Star Trek. I think there's references to Harry Potter at some point. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings references as well, which if you know those references, it's just gonna boost your enjoyment of the novel. But if you don't know those references, you can still read this book and have a ton of fun. It just adds to it if you know about Lord of the Rings. Willow ended up being my favorite character because the kind of spacey, aloof, but very direct character that gets straight to the point and isn't distracted by the trends in society, I guess, basically. They're good people and this is right and this is wrong, and they kind of put the main character on their heels because they call them out for certain things. So that's why Willow is my favorite. She's great. One of my pros is that the technology is not so advanced that it's unbelievable. This book is set at some point in 2032, so not that far away. So the amount of technology that he has is similar to our own, just a little bit more powerful and a little bit more advanced, so I thought that that made sense. It was a little bit weird because Sam, the main character, he would be the age of if I had kids like right now. I think I was born around the same time as the main character's father, so that was a bit weird in my head. But I also like that in this fantasy world there were other pop culture references that are not current today. So there are the pop culture references that are around today, like Lord of the Rings and Star Trek and Star Wars and Harry Potter, stuff like that. But there are a couple of things that he talks about that they reference that don't exist yet, and I thought that was realistic and I enjoyed that. I forgot to say that I was sent this book from the author. This is a self-published book, and for a self-published book, I thought it was incredible that there was a map inside that was actually super helpful at the beginning of the novel because I was trying to get my bearings of the world and where everything was and where he showed up in Avalon and where he traveled. The map was absolutely fantastic and I loved that I could reference that while I was reading. If you guys don't know, I was an ancient history major in undergrad at university. I was a classical studies major, which focuses in on ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and ancient Egypt. So I love when history is woven into fantasy stories. So I love that in this book there were Earth history elements brought in and woven into the story, like the main character Cornelius, he is descended from cowboys and stuff like that. So I thought that that was really cool and fun. And I love that there is a lot more going on between Earth and Avalon than just Sam jumping from Earth to Avalon Avalon and trying to find his way back. There have been other people from Earth that have made their way to Avalon, and it's affected Avalon in certain ways, and I love that the historical time periods that come into this book played a role in the culture of Avalon. As I said, this book is self-published, so with self-publishing you kind of expect there to be a couple of mistakes here and there, but this book was so well edited. I don't think that there was any mistakes that I caught on the page, like none. So that was such a good thing to see. I loved how polished this novel was, and it just made getting into the story and enjoying it that much easier. So that was a good thing. One other pro that I had was that the writing really lent to the story. The pacing of the story was really well done, so I was always intrigued and engaged to find out what would happen next. So I thought that the writing itself was really solid and lent to the plot moving along at a good, steady pace. Something I found really fun was the mixture of technology with fantasy. So he has all these technological gadgets that he's brought from Earth to Avalon, and he's able to use them even though he's not able to use any of this magic. The characters around him are able to use magic, so that was really cool that they had some magical abilities and he could contribute to what was happening because he had these tech gadgets, and he was able to do things that the magical characters couldn't do, so it just rounded out their team really well, and I loved the mixture of technology with magic. And as I said in my little spiel about what this book is about, I love that he still had contact with Earth. I thought it was hilarious. Every once in a while he'll have a conversation with his mom, which is a great thing in middle grade because he's actually involved in his adventure and is looking out for him. But there's Twitter and YouTube and stuff like that, so videos of him or recordings of him show up in social media on Earth, and it's this whole huge deal and everyone's tuning in to figure out what's going on. And I just thought that the technology allowing him to stay in contact with Earth while he was trying to get back to Earth was fantastic and actually made me laugh out loud at certain times. Because he came over to Avalon in an earthquake, he's called Quake Boy, and it was just great. And the last pro that I'm going to talk about so that this video isn't too long is that I loved the ending. It made me so excited to see what kind of trouble he was going to get into next because it gave me chills. Like, I was genuinely so excited when this novel finished and the ending that happened with this novel. So that was fantastic. It was a great ending that gave some catharsis, it gave some excitement for future stories, so it was all around great. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of cons that I had. My first and biggest con that kind of bleeds into my other con is that I wish there were more consequences for actions taken. There's this thing in Avalon where if you put magic into a animal or a creature, you're able to control that animal if you put enough magic into it, and it's called placidating. Placidating is basically taking away an animal's free will, so it's viewed unfavorably by Natarines, which is what Willow is, and it's got mixed feelings about it. So I wish that there was more consequences for placidating animals in this book. So I think that this book was trying to get at that placidating and taking away other people's and other creatures' free will away is a bad thing. It just didn't get there fully. And I think that something that is common in middle grade is that they want to protect the characters so much so that they don't give them consequences for any type of action. I think it's important in middle grade to include consequences for every action that they make. So it could be that there's a consequence and it's not that big of a deal, they take it into account and act anyway and it's fine. Or it could be something that's terrible. They could make a bad decision and have a bad consequence, or something that creates them reaching their goal more difficult because they made this decision instead of doing the smart thing and doing this other thing. And because he doesn't really have that many consequences if he makes a bad decision, this book is a little bit more convenient. He just doesn't have as hard of a time than maybe he should have. So overall, I really enjoyed this novel. I ended up giving The Passage to Avalon 4 stars. It's a really fun middle grade series with some really fun characters and a really interesting world. I'm definitely excited to continue because the ending of this book was so, like, exciting, and I really want to know what's going to happen to Sam and his friends next. I definitely recommend this for middle grade readers. I think that you guys will really enjoy it. So that's going to be my review on The Passage to Avalon by Mike Thayer. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and comment down below if you're interested in reading this book now. Do you have any books that are similar to this one that really weave together modern technology with fantasy? Also, if you have any books that have a lot of Lord of the Rings references, send them my way because I love Lord of the Rings. Anything else you want me to know, leave it down below, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.